What's going on, everybody? Gunnar Brammer here with HMH Vices, and today I want to give you guys a walkthrough on HMH's new TRV True Rotary Vise. Now zooming in, I think the first thing that really stands out about this vise is the oversized brass rotary knob. And because of its large diameter, because it's textured, it's super easy to rotate, super smooth, fits in the hand nicely. You can see I'll just use my fingers like this to rotate it, and as I push this forward, you can actually see there's a hex screw in here, and that's a threaded slot within this rotary knob that you can actually put a little rod so that you have a cranking handle for your rotary function. Now just inside this, you're going to see probably my favorite thing on all the HMH chassis is this inline disc drag system. That's what this little brass locking knob does, and it pushes a nylon washer up against your housing, and this disc drag system is what allows for such smooth rotary. And for me personally, I never have this slip. It's super consistent, but there's even a small little hex screw in there that you can lock down on your threads once you find what's comfortable for you. But going back to this brass knob, one of the reasons why it's so convenient, you know, I just showed you rotating it with my fingers, but it's actually designed to be palmed. And what I mean is, if you're tying a fly and I had my material hand resting on top of my vise, I can just push my hand forward and I can pull it back. And I just, like, you're just rotating your vise. That's how smooth it is, and that's why the texture and the large diameter are so critical and so cool, because you just rest your hand up here and push it forward and pull it back. And I can see both sides of my vise, and I can even push it all the way to the underneath, and it's super smooth and convenient. So even without the cranking handle, I don't even realize that I don't have a cranking handle, just because my material hand's always resting up here, always manipulating something, and then I just walk it forward and walk it back. Super smooth, super easy to use. Now what might be most iconic about this vise is the Lawrence Waldron inspired jaw design. And HMH took it a few steps further, and one of my favorite things about it, and we're going to get to it in a little bit, is they actually have radial grooves in the jaw system, and they actually have the drop down arm cast into the big side of the jaw, right? So this is a two-part cast jaw system, and what you're going to see is because they cast the drop down into the jaw, it allowed them to put a knuckle right here. Now this knuckle it's amazing because it's called the TRV, the True Rotary Vise, and what that means is that because this has a knuckle here, I can put my hook shank in line with my axis of rotation no matter what hook it is, right? If you have a fixed drop down angle, basically only a small range of hooks are really going to be in line with your axis. When you go big or small, it's going to be off your axis. Now what's important about your hook shank being on your axis plane, your axis of rotation, is the fact that when you use your rotary feature, whether it's for chenille or dubbing loop, or collaring, palmering, anything, if your shank is moving up and down, which is what happens when it's off axis, it has the opportunity to put slack into that system, which is going to reduce your fly's durability. Having a hook shank that's perfectly in line with my axis of rotation guarantees that it's a no slack system. There's no room for error, there's no wiggle room there, right? So it's a more consistent, durable system when you adjust this. Now I don't adjust it for every single hook, but if I'm going to tie a dozen flies in a row, I'm going to take this, I'm going to loosen up this little hex screw right here. I'm going to be able to bend this down for, say, a 6/0 big saltwater hook. It's going to come up and ride right in line, lock that back in place. Or you want to tie in a size 22, lift that up, get that right in line with my jaw system and my axis of rotation, lock it back in place. So that's what's so cool about it. That's what makes it a true rotary vise, is my hook shank is in line with my axis of rotation. Now I want to real quick take this jaw design apart for you guys, show you disassembly and assembly, and be able to show you guys and highlight the radial grooves, which really allows this vise to tie on basically anything from, you know, at the end of this video I'm going to demonstrate an 18 to a 6/0, but you can go way smaller, and you could probably even go a little bit bigger. So it's a very wide range system because of the precision tip, because of the grooves, the radial grooves in the jaw. So before I disassemble this, I want to show you the thumb screw real quick. And this thumb screw, basically the way this jaw design works is there's a pin system right here, and the pin system acts as your fulcrum that the jaw design flexes around. And you generate the pressure with this thumb screw, which is threaded. The jaws are threaded, and by rotating it, you're pulling and pushing the jaws apart, and it's rotating around that pin. And you can see just how easy it is to rotate. I can rotate it just with my thumb. Basically, for all my hooks, I like to put it finger tight with my thumb, and then I'll give it a quarter turn more with my forefinger and my thumb, and that's absolutely perfect tension for just about every hook. So to take this jaw apart, all I'm going to do is flip this over and take a bodkin, push my pin out. I'm going to push my jaw together a little bit and pull that pin out, and then I'm going to separate my small jaw away from my big jaw. The big jaw has the arm cast into it there. Now what you're going to see is there's a small little spring that keeps the front of the jaw design. It keeps constant pressure against the front of that so that you always have back pressure against your thumb screw. I'm going to pull that out, and then I'm going to rotate so that you guys can see these radial grooves going up my big jaw. Now these radial grooves are set for just about an Aberdeen bend, and they are absolutely killer for allowing this vise to move from that size 22, that size 18, whatever it is, all the way up to the 1s, the 1/0s, the 4/0s, the 6/0s, your pike and muskie flies, and that's what these grooves allow you to do. So if you can imagine what these radial grooves do for a jaw system, before, you'd kind of put your round hook, which is smooth, against two smooth jaws, and you'd push really hard, and kind of no matter what you do, it'll slip eventually, right? Because there's not a lot of friction there. It's smooth against smooth, right? And even when you put notches in a jaw, which might add some friction, it's going to increase the roughness, you're going to increase your pressure, it still is not form-fitting to the bend of that hook. Because it's not form-fitting, there's always going to be a way for that pressure to escape the groove. Now when you put that perfect bend groove in there, that Aberdeen bend, and you fill it with that hook top and bottom so that it's matched perfectly, it physically can't come out, which is what allows this to accommodate, say, a 6/0 thick wire hook. Absolutely rock solid. So that is the HMH TRV. I'm going to run through 5 different hook sizes real quick: an 18, a 10, a size 1, a 4/0, and a 6/0. And show you how this jaw does holding all those different sizes, and I'll walk you through that, and that's that. So right now I'm coming in with a size 18 standard dry fly hook, and again I'm going to do this kind of finger tight, and then I'm going to, once I get it locked in place, I'm going to take it a quarter turn more. You can see the size 18, it's a little bit thin wire, but I can absolutely bend that hook straight out, no slippage whatsoever, and you can see just how much wiggle room I had for material manipulation, and you'll see that a little bit better on this size 10. This is a size 10 wet fly hook. Got it right in the tip of the jaws, quarter turn past, and look at that, just rock solid, not going anywhere, and you have so much room at the bend of that hook to place your materials. Now once you get to about a size 1, I'm going to start using the grooves of my jaw. And so what's super important is that you match the top and the bottom of the groove. And if it's in the top and if it's in the bottom, then you know it's going to be basically form-fitting throughout the entire groove, and it won't be able to slip out. And once that's locked in place, thumb tight here, I don't even do a quarter turn more. I physically can't get that to budge out of that groove. So now I'm going to come in with just a 4/0 Aberdeen here, and I'm going to put that in the second groove. And you'll always see me, whenever I'm putting a hook in here, I'm always going to double check top and bottom and make sure that that's in that groove properly. Because once it's seated in that groove, top and bottom, you know it's seated throughout. And once it's seated throughout, it physically can't escape that groove system. Lastly, I'm going to come in with a 6/0 Predator stinger hook. And this isn't an Aberdeen bend, but as long as you match that top and bottom, I can still get even a stinger hook to follow those grooves perfectly. And so I'm checking top and bottom in my second groove. You can actually see how loose that is, because it fits in the groove, and it kind of seats inside the groove. It's not split between your jaws 50-50, but it rests 75% into the groove, and only 35%, or I guess it'd be 25% on your flat jaw. So it's absolutely locked in place, just a quarter turn past finger tight, and I physically can't get that 6/0 to budge from that jaw system. So that's the HMH TRV, true rotary vise, oversized rotary handle, ultra smooth, perfect placement for your material hand. This knuckle, which allows you to run any size hook with any size gap, shank, whatever you want to do, in line with your axis of rotation, no slack system. You have perfectly smooth rotary function, and then you have that radial grooved jaw design. Super effective on your small hooks. You have this absolute precision points on these for holding size 18s, 20s, 22s, all the way down to a 6/0 is, you know, as big as you can fit in there, and that groove, it really accommodates that hook, so that, you know, you have your round hook and you're putting that hook into your groove system, and once that's locked into place, it physically can't budge, it can't come out, it's not going to slip on you. All you got to do is match it top and bottom. So so that's the HMH TRV, and thank you for watching.